Pat, last Sunday in Detroit, we saw Justin Fields play one of his better games that he's played as a Chicago Bear. And I know people look at the raw passing numbers and they go, oh, he didn't throw for 200 yards.
Yeah.
But just as a fun fact, do you know how many times Lamar Jackson threw under 200 yards in his MVP season?
Ooh. Give me 10 times. 10 times, I'd say.
A little high. It was 6 times.
6 times, okay.
6 times that he failed to hit the 2-century mark as a passer.
Yeah.
And we all know, like Justin Fields, Lamar Jackson, the skill set is somewhat similar. Deep ball, strong arm, running quarterback. They have a similar skill set.
Yeah.
We can be okay looking at the Bears-Lions game and going, coaching and the end of the game defense lost you that game. It was not the quarterback. The quarterback played as well as we have ever seen him play.
Yeah.
Navigating the pocket, he was excellent. Sitting in the pocket, he was excellent. Getting the ball out quicker. Whether Tyler Scott catches the ball or not, he got the ball out. He got the ball to Tyler Scott. Didn't get caught.
Yeah.
Should he have checked down and made the throw to DJ Moore? We can make that argument. But maybe that's the next step in what Justin Fields needs to learn.
He's a big play hunter, right? And listen, there are going to be – I think the weird part about – I don't know if it's weird. We've never seen a great quarterback here, so we want great, right? But a lot of times I think that Bears fans look at the quarterback position and say, I need the perfect quarterback that I'm going to ever get here in Chicago for the next 20 years. He cannot be a guy who has flaws. And so they're always hunting for the guy that is the perfect quarterback, right? Guess what? C.J. Stroud at some point is going to have some flaws pop up. There are going to be things about his game that NFL defenses figure out. I think people a lot of times take what they see in one moment, 1 year, and say, that's what we need right there. That's the perfect situation. There's no such thing as a perfect situation. You know what my perfect situation is? An offensive line that it doesn't matter what quarterback I stick back there. The San Francisco 49ers is the perfect situation because guess what? If Brock Purdy goes down today, there's nothing that says that they can't just plug somebody else in and he won't go out there and have success. In fact, there's more that says that literally I can throw Shea behind that offensive line and he can throw for 140 yards.
Yeah, I mean, they have Sam Darnold. Like in the last 2 seasons, we've seen Trey Lance do it in minimum amounts of reps.
Yeah.
Jimmy Garoppolo, who, I'm sorry, if you watch the Raiders, stinks.
Yeah.
He did it.
Yeah.
He took them to a Super Bowl.
Yeah. And
And now Brock Purdy is turning into like potentially an MVP candidate on this team with all these weapons in this offensive line.
Yeah, and I think that's my dream scenario, right? Where, yeah, you know what changed about Lamar Jackson? For some reason this season, the Baltimore Ravens finally went, hey, what happens if we give this guy a good offensive line and a number 1 wide receiver to throw the football to? Oh, wow, he can play? He won an MVP without those 2 things? That's crazy to think. I think so many times organizations see the dual threat quarterback or the guy who's more of a runner than a passer, and I don't think that Justin Fields is more of a runner than a passer. I think he's had to do that since he's been in the NFL because he's had no choice because the offensive line has made him run for his life. But they see that and say, hey, guess what? You can do that, so we're going to not invest in these things that every single quarterback in the NFL needs to be successful. Number 1 wide receivers, offensive line. You can't tell me you haven't watched Justin Fields this season. Heck, in the last 3 out of the 3.5 games that he's played and say you're not impressed with him. At that point, if you're still on that, I just look at you and go, okay, like you probably also think wins are a quarterback stat alone, even though there's 53 guys on this roster.
Right, like remember for a long time we just kept hearing Justin Fields has to throw for 300+ yards.
Yeah.
And it feels a little bit like dating. And if every girl you've ever dated or every relationship you've ever been in, your partner's cheating on you and treating you like crap, and then you're like holding out for this perfect situation and you meet somebody who's faithful and like treats you really well, but just not everything's there and you're like, this isn't going to work for me.
Yeah.
Maybe at some point be okay with good. Like I'm at a point now, Pat. My point is this. I look at what Caleb Williams and Drake May have done the last couple weeks, and they're the 2 unquestioned 1 and 2 quarterbacks in this draft.
Yep.
Nobody thinks Penix or Nix or McCarthy are swooping in to get selected ahead of Caleb Williams and Drake May, who have received generational billing. They have stunk up the joint the last couple of weeks. Caleb Williams has been actively bad for like 5 weeks. I get he threw a lot of yards against UCLA.
Yeah.
UCLA stinks.
Yeah.
And he was down horrible in the game. You look at what happened to Drake May. Looked awesome against Campbell, but what happens when Clemson's lining up across from you? 44% completion, and you're throwing picks? It's like I watch those two, and they get this generational build.
Yeah.
And I see them play in big moments against the good teams in college football, and I watch a lot of college football. Like I host Chicago's College Tailgate.
Tune in.
Saturday mornings, 9 to 11 with Tyler Rocky.
Tune in.
And it's like, I watch all these games, and then I watch Justin Fields on Sunday, and I have to tell you right now, November 24th, if the draft were tomorrow night, I would not take one of those two quarterbacks. I would stick with Justin Fields, just based on what I have seen.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's crazy, but that's where I'm at right now. Well, I would rather have the guy who went out and had you in a competitive team, a competitive game against a team that is the best in your division, whether they lost yesterday or not, and potentially one of the best in the NFC. He kept you in that game. He played as well as he has ever. The last 4 games he's played, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and he's running the ball more efficiently again. Like, I'm at a point where I think he can still be really good. And if he's going to be the guy that he was on Sunday against the Lions, if he can repeat that performance on Monday night, I'm not asking for a lot there. 170 yards and maybe 80-plus rushing. I'm not asking for the moon. If you can show me that you can do this and keep this team competitive in these games, I'm not drafting one of these two quarterbacks in Williams and May who have looked like garbage for a few weeks.
And it's about building the team around them, right? Listen, there's a lot of times where I brought up the Giants of old, right, with Eli Manning, and you think there weren't times where where the Giants front office was looking around and going, maybe we could draft a quarterback here. But why? Eli's not that bad. We can build other things. Eli is the epitome of a mid quarterback, and I hope that Justin Fields ascends beyond that. But he's a mid quarterback with 2 Super Bowl wins because the team around him was a good enough football team to beat Tom Brady twice. Your goal is not to build the quarterback. Your goal is to build the offense. You have to go out there and put an offensive line, a running game, a consistent game plan. I look at I see Justin Fields very similar to how a lot of people saw Tua, and I actually think he's further along than Tua was in, his 3rd year when they finally made the coaching change there. But I look at the situation as if you put him in a system where the reason Lamar Jackson starts having success is because John Harbaugh goes, we need to build a system around that guy. The reason that Tua starts to have success is because Mike McDaniels goes, we need to build a system around that guy. The second that you get somebody in here that doesn't change week in and week out because they're trying to run their system, run the system that fits Justin, that's when you'll start to see success on this offense. And the second that we, get a center that can consistently snap. Shout out to the mullet out there. Yeah, I mean, Dan Feeney with a strong mullet game and a good block. Yeah, I mean, like, that was the first time that I think we've seen consistent snapping, and he started off struggling. He couldn't figure out the snap count to start that game off. So I think that if you build everything else, I agree with you 100%. You don't need the perfect quarterback. You need the quarterback that's right for the system he's in.
I've been so hesitant on it too, like all season, especially early in the year when Fields was really struggling. For me, if you're going to be picking in the top 5 2 straight years, you should probably be taking a quarterback almost all of the time. Yeah. But I just look at these two, Caleb and May, and they have looked so bad when the opponents have been good that I question, like, are you just rolling the dice again? Is it the Mahomes fancy where Mahomes at Texas Tech would sit back there and just see what he could get away with because he knew his defense was giving up 60 anyway? We're probably not going to win the game. Let's just see what I can do and go nuts. Could Caleb be doing that? Sure. Could he also get drafted and be a total bust? Yeah. Whereas like Justin Fields now, we saw what can happen when this team is healthy, has a fairly legitimate defense. Now let's get him a legitimate coach. Like, are we at a point where this guy is actually the more promising future than going into this draft and taking somebody with the generational bill? I'm at a yes. For me, I've watched all of their games, Drake May and Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
Drake May has shown me at times that dude's going to be a player.
Yeah.
But if he's Justin Herbert, what if you already have Justin Herbert? And all you got to do, get him a center, add on to the defense, draft a wide receiver, maybe that's Marvin Harrison Jr., build this team out.
Yeah.
And then let's see where we're at with him.
I don't even want him to be Justin Herbert. I want him to be in a situation like Justin Herbert is in a situation that Justin Fields is in.
Yeah.
Right? Like Justin Herbert.
And Justin Herbert's
literally
better than Justin Fields.
100%. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that I look at Justin Herbert and I look at the team that he's on, and Brandon Staley just goes, Justin, go win us the game. Yeah, I put up 38 points for you, dog. What else do you need from me? We need 40. Like, I don't want Justin Fields to be in that situation anymore. He's been in that situation. Guess what? In 3 of the last 4 games, he's put you in multiple positions to win every single game. And in 2 of them, we come away going, wow. That the coach really just said, we don't want you to go out there and win the game. That's where the conspiracy theories start to pop up, right? Like it's too often where we come out of these games and we go, the Chicago Bears had a 2-point, a 3-point, even the game we won, or a 2-score, 3-score lead, even the game we won, the Commanders were coming back. And we were like, is this going to happen back-to-back weeks? Thank God we broke up the monotony a little bit there, but we're right back in after the Detroit game.
Yeah. And like, we don't have the benefit of looking into the crystal ball and going 6 weeks from now, here's Justin Fields' stat line.
Yeah.
Could he go out and stink up the joint himself? And then we're all going, you know what? We got to take a quarterback. Of course.
Yeah.
But I'm asking you today, and you, the listener, 312-332-3776, if you want to weigh in on this. Right now, today, November 24th, after Justin Fields looked good in Detroit, and the last 4 weeks out of Caleb Williams and the last 2 out of Drake May have looked real iffy, are you at a point like me where you're going, on November 24th, Justin Fields is the guy that I would stick with?